And welcome to the Comic Corner, your home for comic book news, reviews, and interviews on the Agents of Fandom channel here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. I still call you Twitter. And so much more. If you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere else on demand, thank you for watching and listening to the show. As always, I am your host, Damon. Today I'm joined by my buddy AF. Good evening, afternoon to you.
Yeah, evening sounds good. Just got out of a brain mushing meeting, so yeah, I'm just glad I'm done with the day. But I am excited to talk about comics.
So much comics, so much good stuff as always. Before we get into the rundown, quick shout out to TJ, who isn't unfortunately able to be here on the episode today, but he did drop a huge, massive sized interview here on the channel that you should go check out with storm writer Murawa Ayodele, where they talk all about the upcoming Thunder Wars event. And man, I said this last time and I'll say it again. Storm fans show up in numbers. Like one of those characters, AF, that very rarely kind of has her own book, but absolutely deserves it. Just because,
100.
like, the level of support this character gets, the love this character gets, how amazing this character just is. And the book itself is also fantastic. So if you haven't checked out the book, go check it out. The first few issues are up on Marvel Unlimited if you are not checking that out. But yeah, go check out Storm. We were saying a little bit earlier, right before we started recording, Marvel is often looking for kind of like that, like Wonder Woman type of like figure. You know, we had Captain Marvel. I really enjoy Captain Marvel. Both Kelly Sue and Kelly Thompson were in Captain Marvel. I really like, but Storm is right there. So when like I think like on the MCU side, right? When we start getting to the X-Men, the mutants and stuff, like that movie, that project, that character is gonna be so wildly important. And I can see people coming out in numbers to support that project when it eventually comes out. So go check out that interview that TJ Fat Thor did with Murawa. It's great. A lot of cool stuff coming out on that side of things, and I'm sure he's elated too because Thunder Wars, you know, a little bit of Thor tie-in, a little bit of Storm tie-in. You get two characters he loves. So there you go. That's it for that. Let's talk about the rundown real quick. What we got coming out today: Ultimates, Spider-Man, Green Goblin. Spider-Man's barely in this issue, but we'll talk about it. Ultimate Spider-Man, the latest issue, came out this week. Rebuilding Diana's Rogues Gallery. Absolute Wonder Woman. New issue dropped. And often something that gets brought up with Wonder Woman is how very few people really know her Rogues Gallery. Like, what is her Rogues Gallery? We got Cheetah, and then who else? And Kelly Thompson's kind of attacking that head on, and I really like that. And let's take a trip, kids. Let's take a trip. Absolute Martian Manhunter. What a book. What a book. But first, the big news that came out this week. It's impossible not to talk about it. The big news. Marvel and DC are crossing over. We knew this is happening. We knew this was going to happen. This was the first book of this big crossover that they officially announced. It's Batman, Deadpool. Not the combo I was expecting, AF, I don't know if you saw this too and you're like, oh, okay, that's an interesting combo. How this is going to work is it's going to be one-shots. We kind of have a joke here on the channel. Marvel loves their number ones, and especially with some books, if you look at Marvel's coming out now, because the new trend is one-shots. Because you know what's always a number one, AF, is a one-shot. Always. You always have number ones everywhere if it's a one-shot. So both Marvel and DC are putting out one-shots. DC's putting out their Batman Deadpool, which has Dan Mora on the art, Grant Morrison writing it. What a combo. Give me Dan Mora art. Oh, phenomenal. And then on the Marvel side, Zeb Wells, who I like Zeb Wells as a writer. I know a lot of people immediately see Zeb Wells and point at Amazing Spider-Man. I think we can move on from that. That's over. That time's over. But I look back on like his Hellion stuff, and I really like his Hellion stuff. And also Greg Capullo on the art on the Marvel side. So DC will be putting out a Batman Deadpool #1. Marvel will be putting out a Batman Deadpool #1. AF, will you be picking up either?
I will be picking up both, 100%. Like I love these sort of things. When both DC and Marvel cross over, I feel like it's a treat for us fans. And
Mm.
yeah, I mean, like any huge comic book fan would be jumping for joy at something like this. Um, Grant Morrison, amazing. Like I can't be happier with that, because he's one of the reasons why I fell in love with Wally West in the first place.
Mm.
His run on the Flash in the late '90s was amazing, and yeah, like I'm just super happy with the moment I saw Grant Morrison. I was like, dude, I'm all in on this.
Oh, yeah, for sure. This is the first time in well over 2 decades that Marvel and DC are crossing over in a big way. This is very exciting. And if, maybe Batman, Deadpool, that combo doesn't float your boat, don't you worry, because it seems like there's some more along the way. None of them officially announced yet, but have been teased, have been hinted at. So we will keep you updated when those get officially announced. I'll ask you this, AF. I'll ask you this. Give me one character from Marvel, one character from DC you want to see in a team up and a crossover in today's day and age.
Dude, okay, here we go.
Let's
Give
hear it.
me Miss Marvel and Static Shock.
Oh.
That would be funny. It would be amazing. It would be heartwarming. I think that has all the ingredients to make an amazing crossover.
That's a solid one. I enjoy that. I really appreciate that because that's not one I would have given to you off the top of my head. I'll give you the most selfish one of mine. The most selfish one. Give me, I think this would be fun and a newer. So it's an old one, but it's rejuvenated because of everything that's happened in the last 20 years. Give me the Arrow family meeting the new Hawkeye family. So you kind of have like
Ooh,
all of the Arrows with all of the Hawkeyes. Lucky attached, Kate Bishop attached.
that
All
Arrow family is huge, though. They
maybe
are
a smaller
tons
version
of
of it
them.
because it is hilariously large.
Yeah, I could get behind that. That sounds amazing. And I mean, there's an Arrow pup as well. So I mean, lucky will have a friend. So
There you go. Another one I think could be fun. Some sort of super pet, whether it's Crypto, whether it's Streaky, teaming up with Jeff the Landshark.
oh, I feel like
One of
that's
those
that's a
seems
gold
inevitable.
mine. That's a gold mine waiting to happen.
Yeah, one of those seems inevitable.
Yeah,
You get like a little Pet Avenger, Pet Justice League
yeah.
action going. Everyone will love that. Everyone will love that. So there you go. Marvel DC crossing over for the first time in over 20 years. Let us know in the comics which two characters from Marvel and DC you'd like to see crossover. I'd like to see, this version of Dick Grayson were essentially crossover with anyone from Marvel. I think Spider-Man would be a perfect kind of like one and one. But even in this case, sometimes you get two characters you wouldn't imagine be teaming up together or being put together. Oh my god.
I don't think anybody can handle
Guy
that.
Gardner and U.S. Agent.
Oh wow.
That one's definitely a story to be told. You know who you know who the villain of that one would be? It'd just be Punisher. Oh man, that would be wild. That's a good one. So yeah, any more? If anyone in the comments has any ideas on who they like to see, two characters, Marvel and DC, team up or go against each other in this case, in this brand new crossover, let us know because we're into this again, well over 20 years. Very, very exciting. Very, very exciting. let's get into some reviews. Quick. Let's get into some reviews. Ultimate Spider-Man, number 17, written by Jonathan Hickman. Art from David Messina, colorist Matt Wilson, and letterer Corey Pettit. Once again, I am going to shout out David Messina when he comes in and fills in for Marco Cicchetto. Because I didn't know this was David Messina until the very last page. Because David Messina does a great job at replicating Marco Cicchetto's art style and making it seamless. So when you read this in like a trade format, when you read this more as like a compendium, as a complete collection, it isn't jarring when you're going from like all of a sudden things just look crazy, right? Things look weird, or they have a different style to it. It all just feels complete, and I love that. And sometimes, it's okay to have a difference in style if it fits the story itself. A great example of that is the Absolute Wonder Woman, where we had the last 2 issues in Mattia de Luis's art, which is a very realistic paint, as opposed to Hayden Sherman, who we will talk about their work in Absolute Wonder Woman, which is very flat, drastically different style art. Let's talk about this book. Does say Ultimate Spider-Man on here. This is Ultimate Spider-Man number 17. I'll tell you this much. Spider-Man's not so much in this issue, and I see some people complaining about that, but as of this point, we're now 17 issues into this series. That's fine. Tell the story that needs to be told. The thing I love about this series is that each issue is a snapshot in time within the month of me reading it. Things happen in between issues. Like, weeks happen, and you kind of catch up a little bit of what's been going on between the last issue that you read and this issue, between the weeks, the time, the days that pass. I have to get into a spoiler here, so if you are not reading this, I have to get into a spoiler because it's the whole point of the issue. So spoiler warning, if you're not caught up on this, or if you're not even caught up in the last few issues, is that Harry Osborn is alive. We thought he died. We saw him die. He is alive. And that's because he was saved by none other than Mysterio, who was right behind him when he was shot point blank in the face by Kraven the Hunter. Not a big surprise. What was a surprise is even bigger spoiler alert. If you're not caught up on the last issue, I'll let you pause. Mysterio, in that instance, was Gwen Stacy. Gwen Stacy is a part of a collection of Mysterios, an Illuminati type of organization, if you will, keeping an eye on the inner workings of the Maker and the Kingpin and all that stuff in New York. So, Harry Osborn alive, back as Green Goblin. Gwen Stacy, very much alive as Mysterio. Peter Parker, Spider-Man, on the run with him and his family, away from Kraven the Hunter after they escaped. He's been on the run. He's been in like Utah. He's been in Nevada. He's been all over the place on the run, trying to escape everything from New York. Well gone. So we're back in New York. And this issue is essentially Harry and Gwen discussing their plans on how they're going to attack the inner workings of the mafia of Kingpin and his Sinister Six while Peter's out in Utah. And it's interesting. It's a quiet issue, not so much of a action-packed issue at all. There is action in here. They do go into Mr. Negative's kind of like lair, if you will, his bomb factory, his demon bomb factory. Gwen and him do, and they blow it up. It wasn't Harry's plan, but it shows how far Gwen is willing to go to kind of correct things. She is the aggressor in this situation. Harry is more backing off. And what I find very interesting as well is it's been almost 2 months, and they reference that in this issue. It's been almost 2 months since Harry's put on his suit. And what Peter has in his suit, which now his son wears, and what Harry has in his is that AI interface. And Harry's AI is his father speaking. It's literally his father speaking to him, that Green Goblin voice. But we made it into a technological way, which I find very fun and very cool. And his AI dad, Norman, AI Norman is pissed. Hates him. He's saying nothing but terrible, terrible things to Harry this entire time. And you're starting to see a little bit of Harry push himself a little bit more because he's getting angry at the words his father's saying. And then at the same time, Gwen, who's a businesswoman in this universe, is essentially running Oscorp while the world thinks Harry's dead. The whole world thinks Harry's dead. And she's being like, if we're going to do something, we got to do something. So when we go into the Mr. Negative factory, the demon bomb factory, we're going to do something and we're going to blow it up. And Harry's like, oh shit, things got serious. So the very last page of this issue is Harry going to Uncle Ben, who's been having contact with Peter in very small spurts in a very safe way, to essentially be like, hey, Peter, I'm alive and you need to come back to New York because shit's about to go down. So there you go. One of the funny things I will say, and I was going to bring this up originally and I didn't, the solicit for this issue, if you read it in any solicit chain, is horrendously off, like hilariously off. It's talking about how like Peter and his kid are in New York to face the Sinister Six. Does not happen in this issue.
But I mean that's how you still try to like captivate the audience, right? Because it's a Spider-Man book. You want them to know that Spider-Man's in there. You want them to know that the storyline is still about Spider-Man. But everything that you just explained now, I think it's a very good like solo issue if you can look at it that way, in terms of backstory, in terms of filling the reader in on what's happening. And Gwen sounds like a menace, man.
She is
sounds like a
scary.
menace.
I wouldn't say a menace. She's just scary, but I love it.
Yeah,
And
it's cool to be
it's
different.
so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's so cool. I love that Gwen. I remember TJ and I going back and forth quite often saying I didn't originally love the idea of Harry being alive because I was like, it took away from that moment. But the way they did it, where it was revealed that Gwen was actually Mysterio, was that double twist that captivated me in that moment. So I love that. Love that. Enjoy this book. This book's great. Cannot wait for the next issue. To go back to the Marvel DC crossover discussion, Carlos, this one a genuine genius idea. Raven and Doyle Dormammu. Love that. I love that. That's a good young adult story right there. If you want to
I
get
can see that happening. Actually, I can see that being
get
something
Scotty
that
Young on that, please. Get Scotty Young on that, please. Just one more. Scotty, come back. That book needs you so desperately. So yeah, Ultimate Spider-Man. Hickman killing this book. I love it. And once again, shout out David Messina for coming in, stepping in on the art once again, and have it be virtually seamless. So 2 thumbs up there. Absolute Wonder Woman. God, I can't even read what number that is. That is number 8.
Dude, I'm so
DC
behind on this.
Comics. Written by Kelly Thompson, artist Hayden Sherman, colors Jordy Belair, letter Rebecca Carey, and editors Ash Padilla and Chris Conroy. Whew. The last 2 issues were a tweener, where after Wonder Woman kind of dealt with this giant kaiju monster in Gateway City, she was sent to Hell to deal with Hades for leaving Hell in the first place. And it was a beautiful arc. She's now back in Gateway City. Long story short, she's back on Earth. pretty much can't really return back to hell, but she kind of has to like once a year, really to set up to be like, we want to tell more hell stories, and here's our way to back to do it. And I like that. So now we're back into like the overarching plot of Wonder Woman helping the people of Earth. And I mentioned earlier about Wonder Woman's Rogues Gallery. AF, can you give me 3 Rogues Gallery of Wonder Woman that is not Cheetah? Just give me 3 characters from a Rogue Gallery.
I got nothing.
And that's part of the problem.
Exactly.
So it is very cool when you get someone who has a good historical purpose of being this first true villain. Because while this character is not really Wonder Woman's first true villain, it was Wonder Woman's first costumed villain. And that AF is Dr. Poison has entered the fray. In this universe, a gaseous being who kind of takes over an old nuclear-powered suit. And the issue is very cool. It's the first issue of a brand new arc, so it's a lot of setup. We're building out more of like the inner evil workings of Gateway City and who's kind of behind like a lot of the government plans and facilities and all that stuff. So interesting. But what I love the most about it is it still keeps going back to Diana, Wonder Woman, being a witch. How does she deal with issues? Witchcraft. Hold on. I need to kind of like create a building here, create a safe place for us. Gotta do some blood magic, guys. Hold on 1 second. You all go away. You shouldn't watch this type of thing. Wicked stuff, right? Things you'd never expect Wonder Woman would ever do is like witch blood magic. But that's how she is. That is this Wonder Woman. And she's so fucking cool because of it. So cool because of it. Cool action sequences going backward has some cool little callbacks to the first arc. But where we're left off is Diana has been trying to seek out to see if there's any more Amazons out there. Are there any? And the reveal at the end is it seems like there may be. We don't know who's out there, but it sounds like there may be someone. Whoever it is, we don't know yet. But I've been digging this book. TJ mentioned it. He loves the art on this cover.
Yeah.
Great art. And yeah, same thing. Shadow. Hey, Matt. Thank you for joining us. I love what they did with Poison, too. Absolutely love what they did with Poison. I just think it's so perfectly clever that, like, Wonder Woman's first costumed villain is essentially her first costumed villain in the Absolute universe as well. It's a perfect, like, way to kind of, like, rebuild a way of Wonder Woman's Rogues Gallery. We're not immediately going to like Cheetah and all that stuff. We're going to build it out, reintroduce it for any audience that may not be familiar with Wonder Woman's Rogues Gallery. Like even you, a huge DC guy.
I actually remembered Giganta and Ares.
Yes.
That was like at the back of my mind. I was like, oh yeah, I actually do remember them.
Yeah, there's a few. Psycho, another one. Like there's like you can name a few.
Yeah.
But
do you know what I was actually thinking? So I've only read up until issue 5, and I was like the more she was like using like witchcraft and like them like zoning into her witch abilities. How do you think a John Constantine would fit into the Absolute universe? Because
besties.
Like, everything is just like so gritty and so like sharding and gloomy and everything in this universe, and he likes his like humorous quips and stuff like that, so he could be a very extreme version of himself. But yeah, I think I don't know, like the more I was reading, I was just like, it'd be interesting to see how John actually fits in the Absolute universe.
There's another character that we'll bring up later in this episode that I would love to see in this Absolute universe as well, especially in this realm of absolute Wonder Woman, which is Zatanna, right? Like,
Yeah.
I like to see more magic kind of in here. We're still building out this absolute this absolute universe. So who knows where we'll go from there? Can you imagine what Thompson would do with a villain like genocide? Like the possibilities here are endless. And we even go back to like those last two issues that we just had. And whenever Kelly goes back to the hell of it all, the Greek mythology of it all, and playing with the idea of just like, what if like Greek mythology is so deep, especially in like the hell realm, like with Hades and everything. Like it's so cool and fascinating to see her take on it. And so far, every twist, every little change, every adaptation has been perfect in my mind. I love this book. I go back and forth all the time. TJ and I say it, which is like, what is our favorite absolute book of the week? This one still is always number one. I think it will be for a hot minute because like the consistency issue in and issue out, I just love it. So I do enjoy it. But I want to get into the next book, which is Absolute Martian Manhunter, because this is my book of the week. This is
Ooh.
my book of the week. I love that last issue of Absolute Wonder Woman. I give it like a 4 out of 5 type of deal. This is like a near 10 out of 10, near 5 out of 5, like a 4.8. This is Absolute Martian Manhunter, number 3, written by Denny's Camp, artist Javi Rodriguez, letter Hassan Usmani Alao, and editor Sabrina Fuchs and Katie Kubert. There is an ongoing bit in this series that it's technically not Martian Manhunter, it's the Martian Mindfucker. And this is one of those books that was going to be a straight mini, had a hard off point. This sales of issue 1 did so well, and DC editorial and everyone loved this book so much that they just extended it. And I can see it. First issue was a little off for me. And I don't want to say off like I didn't enjoy it. I really liked it, but I was like a little confused by it. After issue 2, like issue 2 completely sold me on it. And that's when it introduced the White Martian aspect. And then issue 3, we dive deeper into it. This is such a clever take, and Denny's Camp is already doing this. He is just in his wheelhouse right now of putting current socio-political situations globally. And he's not necessarily saying it's exactly this or it's exactly this. It's the idea of this and the idea and the concept of that, right? And putting that in current stories that in a way that it doesn't feel like it's being like preachy or over the top, but it works. And he's just nailing it. He's doing it in Ultimates already, and he's doing it here in Absolute Martian Manhunter. So how this works for those who do not know is John Johns is just like your everyday CIA agent, but he's very cold, really has no personal connection with anyone, even his wife, even his family, his coworkers. Everyone just always sees him as alien, right? Put that in parentheses. He then gets into like an accident, kind of brings something into his brain that can only be described as Martian. It's not actually Martian, but it can only like the only way his brain can comprehend it is that there's just like it's a Martian living in his brain. And he can see thoughts come out as like smoke throughout everything. And he's starting to notice that people are losing their mind around his city and doing horrible, awful things that they'd never do. At the beginning of this issue, many homeless people in his city are being lit on fire by citizens. They're being killed, being murdered all throughout the city, all at once, like that. Not a coincidence. and it's the cause of the White Martian. And the White Martian in this universe, its only goal is just to destroy, to cause fear, to cause chaos, to make people lose their home. And that's another one of those where it's like, I can't really describe what it is other than it just wants destruction. And it picks up on things like what the White Martian does, it picks up on whatever person's fear, whether that be, uh, it could be someone's prejudice, it could be someone's past trauma, it could be anything that would put them over the edge to do something absolutely terrible, and they're doing it. And the only person in this entire world right now that can help this situation is John Johns, the guy who, funny enough, has no connection with anyone. But he can see, he's starting to really understand someone who's so cold, but he goes to like the crime scene of the first man who passed away, and he touches the crime scene, and all of a sudden he just genuinely truly empathizes and understands this man's life, who had been without a home for 20 years in his life, but his last thought was, I want to go home. And he empathizes with that. This thing's gonna win, Eisner.
Yeah, like
it's gonna win.
Judging by everything that you just said now, and we know Denise Camp's sort of political stance online. Like we've seen him post a lot of things and stuff. So everything that you just described to me now like lines up exactly to what you said, social political sort of commentary into what's actually happening right now. And yeah, I mean that's some good stuff. Like I haven't been reading this. I made the sort of decision to wait for a trade to come up, because going back to what you and TJ discussed last week, yeah, my pull list is just getting a bit too heavy for my wallet at the moment. So,
for sure.
So I need to pick and choose which ones I go all in on. Pun very much intended on that.
All pun intended.
And yeah, so yeah, I'm waiting for a trade for this. Judging by the things that I read about Absolute Green Lantern, I probably won't be picking that up. But yeah, like this one, it's everything that I read about it, everything I see about it. It's just like 10 out of 10 stuff. People are raving about it on Blue Sky. I haven't heard a single bad thing about this book yet.
Yeah. Absolute Green Lantern still has not won me over yet. I'm going to give it one more issue. I'd like to give things 3 issues to really sell me. This one won me over in its second because it's such a wildly different take on things. And when this kind of first came out, I don't think it is in the same way now, but on its own principle, like if you almost want to look at it like Ultimate X-Men is such a wildly different take on like that whole idea and that whole world of mutantdom and what it means. This is like in the same realm of like such a starkly different take on the Martian Manhunter.
Yeah.
He's not from Mars, right? It's
I wonder,
not actually a Martian.
I wonder, because in mainline continuity, the Martian Manhunter absolutely is terrified of the fire, of any sort of fire, because of what happened over on Mars. And because an event like that happened in this issue with fire, I wonder if they could sort of be planting the seed to him having that same fear in this universe, or if they're just going to play it off and like, okay, this is a different universe, you can actually tolerate the fire over here.
So what is beautifully done in this, and he kind of has at the end of this issue, the White Martian takes over a woman who's burning alive and is about to die, but the White Martian's kind of taken over and is speaking through her. And John Johns looks at me and is like, "What are you doing?" And the White Martian says, "You understand. You can understand me, and you understand that it's not the fire that's the destruction. It's the smoke."
Oh wow!
And I was like, it's just like the way he writes. I was just like, oh,
That's
You know, it's
What
the
a line.
smoke. It's the thing that like
Yeah.
suffocates other people and it causes it to spread. I was just like, man, it's gonna win Eisner. Like, it's great. Um, it's one of those, it's we often read comics in a place where it's like we hoot, we holler, we're like, ooh, big fight. I like that stuff. I'll talk about like a book that I really enjoy about that later on, which is Magik. Kind of a fight book, even though it gets a little serious. But this is like just storytelling. It's great. Love it, love it, love it. Absolute Martian Manhunter. Uh, Eisner winner 2026. Submit it now. It's got it. AF, on to you. I did not know you were reading this. This is Batman Superman World's Finest. This is written by Mark Waid, artist Clayton Henry, colorist Tamara Bonvillain, letterer Steve Wands, editors Chris Rosa and Paul Kaminsky. For those who do not know, World's Finest is a book written in the past without all of the craziness of modern continuity. This is your classic stories of Batman and Superman and members of the Justice League before things got a little crazy. So AF, tell me about this.
So I'm actually not reading it.
Oh.
I am only reading these issues because it ties in to the We Are Yesterday arc that's happening in Justice League Unlimited.
Mm.
So it started in Justice League Unlimited. It continued into the Batman Superman World's Finest annual, and then it continued in this issue. And I think there's one Justice League Unlimited issue that released this week, and then it ends in Superman 28 or 27. I don't know. I can't remember, but it ends in the Superman book. But yeah, essentially what's happened is Grodd has sort of identified why the Legion of Doom can never ever win against the Justice League, and he's gone into the past. He's gone to fetch all of these rogues: Lex Luthor, Black Manta, Cheetah, the Joker, Scarecrow, Sinestro, the whole load of them. He's just like went to go pick the nastiest bunch out of every corner that you could find, and he's told them that, look, you guys are all failures, and you can't be saying something like that to Lex Luthor without bruising his ego. So obviously he's intrigued. He's trying to now find out why they are failures, why they are called failures. And Grodd's telling him the whole story. You guys are never going to be successful against your nemesis. I've seen the future. I've been there. I've come from the future. And they don't believe him. And then he uses his mind abilities to go into Sinestro's ring, tap into the fear power over there, and Sinestro sees everything. And then Sinestro is basically like, okay, he's actually telling the truth. So if you want to get into this, Damon, don't. You will absolutely hate it. There's way too much time travel for you. So I'm just putting that out as a disclaimer, because in this issue alone, there is time traveling going from the present to the past, from the past to like 2 years ago, from 2 years ago back to the future. Is you if you aren't like actually reading the fine print on every page, you will get lost. But it's still a fun issue. Um, we have Robin Dick Grayson with an old school Batman, like you can see on the cover over here. That bat symbol, it's a very like OG sort of Batman symbol. They time travel to the future, whereas the current Superman, Batman, and Nightwing goes to the past. They are trying to find out what happened. Then they end up going to a spot 2 years ago where Lois Lane, or a year ago where Lois Lane has powers, and she calls out on Superman, asking like, "What are you doing there? We need to go. We have to go fetch our son." And he was like, "What do you mean, our son? Does Lois know I'm Superman? How is that was pretty funny. It was
Who
pretty
is
cool.
this woman?
That was pretty cool. And one of the other things as well, there's a moment where past Robin and Nightwing are in the same panel. They're in the same universe, and they have this like really cool banter going on, and like teenage or kid Robin is just like, "Oh, is this how I turn out to be? Please, somebody tell me, like, keep on reminding me to go for haircuts every now and then because I don't want to look like that. But yeah, all in all, I think it's a fun issue. There's a lot going on in it, and at the end of it all, there's still two more issues left in this arc. So the three present day Batman, Superman, and Nightwing are lost in space or lost in time. So that was the cliffhanger on this book. We'll have to see what happens. But Damon, do not read this. You will absolutely hate it.
I wouldn't say that because I really enjoy Mark Waid's work.
Okay.
And I could turn my brain off for a bit in this instance because World's Finest, it's one of those books ironically lost in time, right? So you could have fun with that.
Yeah.
I could have fun with this, especially when you're talking about where it's like, hey, who is this woman? Why is Lois? Why can she fly? What's going on?
Why do we have a son? Like,
Yeah,
we have a
we have a
son?
what?
What?
Wait, what do you mean we have a son and then two adopted children and like a clone? What's going on? Yeah. That would actually be really funny to see just like old Clark kind of see everything that's going on, just be like, what?
TJ in the comments, you heard it here first. Damon actually likes time travel now. So,
Oh,
yeah.
well, don't push it that far. Don't push it that far. Let's talk about something I do enjoy, and that is magic. Not Ilyana Rasputin, not yet. We'll get to her. But Magik, the concept, with a C. Magic. Zatanna, number 4. This is part of a mini. This is written by Jamal Campbell. Art from Jamal Campbell. Letter Ariana Mayer. And editors Jillian Grant and Brittany Holzer. AF, I know this is a book I need to read. I know this is a book I'm going to enjoy and trade. We talk about often where it's like, we just have too many things on our pull list. This one, unfortunately, just kind of hit that. But I feel like this would be one I enjoy and trade. AF, am I correct in that assessment?
You are 100% correct. I am actually surprised that you haven't been reading this book because it's right up your alley. I mean, it has everything horror, it has supernatural, witches, demons, ghosts. I mean, that's Damon right there. Yeah, it's weird that you aren't reading it, but yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with this. There is a page or a couple of panels on here where they go to the supernatural circus that Lady White and Brother Knight throws, and it's just amazing. The writing from Jamal Campbell, the art from Jamal Campbell, it is chef's kiss, amazing. It is so good. We still don't have any answers as to what Brother Knight's endgame is, like why he has this sword stuck in Zatanna, and every sort of spell she conjures, it just destroys her more and more and more up until the point where she's probably going to explode. But we
I
know that
forgot
that's
about
not going to
this.
happen.
This is the book where Zatanna has a soul sword.
Yeah, and we're going to get to magic a bit. You don't have to get into it right now. But yeah, I'm just enjoying this. The art in this book is just amazing. Like I mentioned, the writing is good, but every single page, every single panel, Jamal Campbell just absolutely cooks in this book, and I cannot recommend it enough.
I think it's fascinating. Jamal Campbell, I know him very well as an artist. He did Superman for a minute, and art in there, fantastic. Don't know him too much as a writer, so I'm looking forward to diving into this when it comes out in trade paperback form, especially with, a little bit of like soul swordiness going on. That seems familiar for me.
Very much so.
Let's get into soul swordiness. I timed that and put those two very well together. This is Magik, number 5, written by Ashley Allen, artist German Peralta, colors to Arthur Hesley, letter Ariana Mayer, and editors Noah Sharma, Darren Shan, and ex-editor Tom Brevoort. This is the conclusion of the first arc, essentially, where Ilyana has been dealing with coming to terms with her dark child self, something she's always had to do. And there's so much good in here. There's one thing in here, it still just genuinely doesn't make a bit of sense, at least from a character perspective point of view, and I'll get into it. But let me start with this. Germán Peralta's art, it's a blessing that Germán is on this book. Art in here, fantastic. Draws Ileana away where she just always looks badass. And it's perfect for Magik. This is the first time Magik has ever had any sort of solo title. We mentioned earlier with Storm, a character that should have more books with how popular and how cool and beloved that character is. This is the first time in Magik's very long history of being a character she's had a solo book. Unless if you include like the Ileana and Storm, funny enough, kind of like combo story going on. So what's been going on here is Ileana ran into a demonic entity type of character who had a somewhat similar traumatic experience as a child where he was taken in by witches and pretty much sacrificed and became like this demonic person. And he embraced his dark self. And he's looking at Ileana saying, you should do it too. And she's like, no, I want to get rid of this part of me. This part of me is what's preventing me from being just a person. I hate it, right? And he made a deal. He's like, well, I'm an evil demon person. I'm going to put you on a quest while I'm an evil demon person because I'm trying to take over the earth. Ha 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 ha. If you can manage to stop me without going into your dark child form, then you know what? I'll get rid of your dark child form. I'll separate it from you. But if you do, I will separate it from you and it becomes mine type of thing. So like it's double-edged sword of a deal. Like if she does turn into Dark Child while preventing it, that Dark Child form becomes a minion of his. Throughout this whole process, she's kind of like got caught up with a kid who's a part of like an occult sorcery. Should theoretically be part of like Doctor Strange's type of world. Strange should be involved in this somehow in this way, but I understand also at the same point he's not Sorcerer Supreme. So all this kind of going on actually makes a little bit of sense in the One World Under Doom kind of story arc because Strange is off world in Asgard. So I can actually like let that fly. But she runs into this kid whose grandma passed away and he's trying to help her kind of like Scooby-Doo this shit, if you will. And then she also runs into longtime New Mutant friend, Danny Moonstar, who, surprise, surprise, a part of this brand new secret organization. Naturally. What I love about this issue is that she genuinely, finally, and this has been decades, really comes to term with the dark child in her and realizes that this terrible thing inside of her, this rage, this anger, a monster, was really made. It was made in limbo. And it was made to protect her from everything that limbo is. Because in reality, and look, I know TJ's in the chat and he hates when I bring up this movie. But one thing that movie got right, it was very literal. It like what Limbo and Magik is and Darkchild is, it's a little girl who is taken away, stolen, kidnapped at a very young age to a terrible situation, without getting into specifics, was forced to grow up. And immediately when she came back was a completely different person and had all of that rage inside of her. That is it on its face value without saying specifics, right?
Yeah.
The movie is very direct in what it actually is. They're not using like fancy little dust to kind of like magicize it. They're very literal of what she went through. And they made it so Darkchild is kind of like this persona that was there to protect her all along. She finally comes to terms with it. That's what I loved about this issue. What gets a little strange, and I just don't understand the logic behind what these specific characters are thinking, is that in the end, she embraces that side of her, takes down the demon, is about to absorb that demon inside of her because, like, this is my Baron to weigh. But then the kid shows up and he's like, no, this is like my family's duty. It's not yours. And she looks at him. He's like, bro, you're about to go through everything that I did if you go through this. And I'm not letting that happen to you because it's terrible. So I'm going to handle it. He pushes her out of the way. He deals with the burden. And she's like, oh, crap. And then Danny Moonstar comes over and she's like, what did you do that for? This was his family's burden. And I'm just like, no, Matt, I feel like Ileana's in the right here. But they're trying to make it perceive that, like, the family burden thing. So that's like the only part in here where I'm like, I don't understand where Danny, like her mindset and everything is coming through here and everything. I'll have to see where it goes. But the series is going to keep on going. We're going back to Limbo in the next issue. We're dealing with Madeline Pryor, who is currently the Queen of Limbo, and see what's going on there, which I'm excited about.
That's interesting. Is this a 12 issue run, or
this is ongoing? It's an ongoing run.
Yep. Okay. Is this so, like, for everybody that's in the chat, like, is this a good starting point for Magik, or is there any sort of backstory that you would need?
If you just kind of want to get into the character, yeah, this is good. They do reference in like last few issues some very important like magic lore and history, especially when they introduced Danny Moonstar. They're literally going through like, remember when we took down the demon bear? Remember when we did this and that and this and that? And one thing I wish kind of like, I mean, editorial did bring in is like, as in like the demon bear saga. And I'm like, please put in the issue numbers in there, ladies and gentlemen, please, so anyone can read that. Stuff like that. So it's like they'll reference some things at the back, but I think it's a fine place to kind of like pick up if you want to do a little bit more of the character. I can absolutely recommend you some better places to pick up if you want to learn even more. But this is fun. I just enjoy the fact that she has a ongoing for the first time. And like you see her actually using sorcery and not just big sword.
Yeah. I really love the fact that Marvel's going sort of all eggs in one basket with all of these females having their solo series. We mentioned Storm earlier. There's the Phoenix, there's Magik. Spider-Gwen has her own, and I mean she's going to be taken back to number one in a couple of months as well. But yeah, it's I like the fact that Marvel is sort of trusting these female heroes to carry these ongoing runs. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, throwing Psylocke in there too. That knows more mini, but same thing with that. Mystique had a mini going on too. I really appreciate how much the X Office in particular invested in their female X characters, because a lot of them just never really had like a proper story to tell with just them at the forefront. So there you go. Magic number 5. I'm still gonna be picking up. I enjoy it. Again, art in here, fantastic. Last book of the week. This is Mine Arcana from Jeff Lemire, Boom Studios. This is written by Jeff Lemire. Art, this issue, from Letizia Canici. Our colorist Patricio Del Peche, and letter Steve Wands. Usually Jeff Lemire does the art and the writing. This is the first time in this series that Jeff Lemire is not doing the art. And shout out to Letizia, who does a fantastic job, once again, at replicating Jeff Lemire's art style, making it very seamless. I think Letizia's art, personally, like Jeff Lemire's art style is a very acquired taste. It's very sketch. Faces aren't like, the perfect faces and stuff. A little sharper, a lot of lines. I dug this issue. Unfortunately, still so much in this book. Not a whole lot's going on with the overall plot until the very last page. But we have a moment here their main character, dealing with her ex's current husband, who's a cop, and they're investigating. She's a psychic. She doesn't believe in her psychic abilities. She has them, and she can start to see things in the future. That was essentially the first whole arc about it, and finally come to terms with that while her mother, who is a psychic, is unfortunately going through some medical issues. Very good writing, very good interpersonal back and forth, talking in the cop car. Not a lot of action, really no action at all in this, but the very last page gives you a hint at what's more to come. I am excited to see what is more to come, because so far this has been a very slow burn, but I love the personal storytelling that this whole world that Lemire has built is kind of be put into. Every character so far that we've been introduced to has been a symbol of a tarot card, the representative of it. And unfortunately for this officer here, who seems like a very nice man, symbolizes the hangman. So his future is a little shaky.
Oh man, like I haven't been reading any of this, but judging by like everything you and TJ talk about, like whenever you review this book, it's just like you expect nothing less from Jeff Lemire. Especially things that like sort of like go deeper into certain instances, and I mean that's his whole mo. And I I don't know, like, do you think that this is something that I should just like trade read now in one go? Is there an end in sight?
This is going to end eventually. So if you notice in the top right hand corner, you have like the four kind of circles that each are a symbol. Each of those are essentially kind of like the saga that's being told. So I can essentially see that there's probably like 4 volumes worth of storytelling that'll be done for this at minimum.
Okay, cool.
But my last pitch for anyone who's still maybe on the fence here, and Lemire has said this, and I'm starting to see it now, 7 issues in. A Black Hammer that Jeff Lemire did is fantastic, and that was his love letter to superhero comics. And I highly recommend it to anyone watching this show to go read it. It is phenomenal. This is his love letter to Vertigo Comics. And you start to see elements of that as the series progresses. And I'm digging.
So it's darker.
Darker, more mystical, you're dealing with elements of the arcane, right?
Yeah.
Stuff of that. Very good. Very much enjoy it. Highly recommend. Next week's polls. Got one absolute book, one ultimate book, some stragglers along the list, including one very big book from Jonathan Hickman, Imperial #1, his attempt to possibly kind of like reconfigure the cosmic side of the Marvel Universe. A lot of cosmic stuff. The Hulks are involved with a planet She-Hulk. We got some Black Panther reworkings on their cosmic ends. Guardian reworkings on their ends. Nova reworkings on the Nova Corps end. Very interesting. And obviously, Absolute Superman. Huge pickup. Ultimate Wolverine. Maybe my third favorite Ultimate book. Probably third, but it's up there. It's like in that upper echelon of like Ultimate Marvel books. Birds of Prey, Kelly Thompson, always fun. And X-Men, as you know, I like to read Magik, and Magic's on that team. Yeah, what you
got? So books that are dropping next week is Absolute Superman. I still have Secret Six on my pull list. I think I want to give it one more issue just to see if they sort of turn it around. If I think that will be the one that they like either keep me or they lose me. Even though it's a mini, it's like a 6-issue thing.
How
don't know.
close? I mean, what issue number is that though?
So it's issue 4. Yeah. So it's
so you don't have
4,
2
5,
more
6.
after that.
It is 2 more after that, but I don't know. I don't know. I'll have to see. Let's hope they keep me next week. And then finally, also is Spider Gwen. The I think it's issue 14. Did they announce which issue will be the last before they go back to a number one?
For Gwen,
Yeah, for Spider Gwen.
I don't know which issue it will be, but it's whatever. August is when it resets.
Okay, so it's probably still another 3 issues to go. Yeah. Okay. Cool. And then issues that drop this week that I'll probably get quite soon is the Flash 21. This is the main line all in Flash, and I'm starting to dig that again. They won me back. I kept on reading it, even through the bad parts. But yeah, I'm back in. I'm enjoying it again. Um, Green Arrow 24. That is still pretty amazing. Uh, I don't think there's been a bad issue since the Dawn of DC ended and the All In issues started. And then yeah, Justice League Unlimited number 7, continuing from the world's finest that I spoke about today.
2 issues that did come out this week that we did not get to. Latest issue of Batman Hush. Look, I've read like the first 2 issues of Hush, the Hush 2. I saw the reviews of this last issue, and I'll say this:
People
I'm
are
starting to
not
get,
loving it.
dude, it's not good. Look, the second
Yeah.
issue lost me. And it's my issue with it through that second issue. I haven't read the last 2. I don't know what happened this issue. I don't know what happened last month. But my issue with it was how, look, Batman Hush. I'm going to shout out Mike Carano from my comic shop because he said this perfectly. It's Batman comfort food, right? You get all of the classic villains. You get a nice little mystery, detective, little reworking of Batman's past. Like it's bing, bang, boom, comfort food right on a plate. Yum, yum. What's bizarre about Hush 2 is that it completely like just ignores everything since Hush 1. Like all of like it brings back Jason Todd in a way where it's like, dude, we dealt with this years ago. Like why are you still mad about this? Like we dealt with this years ago. Go away. And like
You,
things that matter. And it's just like, okay, whatever. So what I'll say about this is I am a little worried, and I love Matt Fraction's work on Hawkeye. Literally my all-time favorite run. I'm a little worried for that run of Batman. Just because I fear we're getting to a point with Batman where it's literally just like, what more can we possibly do?
I don't see it like that because so who are the creators involved with this? Jeff Loeb and Jim Lee.
Yes.
Those are the creators involved with this. We've seen them do Batman a gazillion times. This is basically a nostalgia sort of, like you said, comfort food for everybody. I think this would have worked better as a sort of a one shot, or just something in
Black
one
Label.
go. Yeah, or yeah, it didn't need to be like an ongoing run or more than a few issues. And there's so much reinvention with the comics these days with characters like Batman and Superman that we've seen different takes on how they are being done. The fact that we are sort of getting this throwback, like you said, all of these nostalgic characters and all of these things that we've seen before. I don't. People don't want that. People don't want that type of thing anymore. Yes, Batman sells. Batman will always sell, but are the ratings going to be good? Is it going to be worth it to actually put these out if people are going to buy it, but then they're going to be bashing it online? So I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And the other one is the new X-Men event, Giant Size X-Men plus Ms. Marvel. I did not have the chance to read that this week. TJ did, But if you want to hear a little bit of insight about that book, we have an interview that TJ did with the Hive Mind, the writers, Lansing and Kelly, up here on the channel. So go check that out, where they talk about that book and how they say they are not retconning anything. I hope not. I hope not.
Can you trust Kamala Khan? Can you trust her to not retcon anything?
Look, we also had this conversation at the comic shop yesterday too, about people being worried about the retconning of it, and I'll trust them when they say they aren't, because so many times with Marvel events, correct me if I'm wrong, where we'll say we have a big event, huge event, something crazy happens in the event, and then by the end of it, AF, what happens? By the end of the event, what happens? Nothing.
People forget about it.
No, just nothing happens. Everything is put back into place.
Day. Do you remember Axe Judgment Day? Do you remember that even happening?
I remember Axe Judgment Day because
does Marvel remember
Judgment
that Day. They did it? That's the question. Does Marvel remember that they did it? Because I don't think that they did.
We have a whole new Celestial just like chilling on Earth.
Yep.
I think Cersei's dead. Like, I forgot, weird things happened. Axe Judgment Day, good lord. I think a good example, honestly, of that too is like also the Daredevil book, where Zdarsky's run ended on a wild thing where Matt's no longer Daredevil, and Jess Electra is, and then by the first issue of the new run, Matt's back to being Daredevil, and it's like, okay. All right. Comic books. We love them. We criticize them. We talk about them every single week here on the Agents of Fandom channel. Make sure you like and subscribe. If there's any books coming out next week that we didn't mention, let us know, and we will chat about it. As always, please be sure to go support. Check out your local comic shop. Go to comicshoplocator.com to find a local comic shop near you. Go out, go support. AF, thank you for joining me this week. Everyone, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We always enjoy it. Until next time.